Out of all the snake species in Florida, there's one that's pretty iconic. It was one that I kept as a young child that I found growing up. It's one that you'll see a lot of in Florida. They come in a couple different flavors, I guess. That snake is the rat snake. Okay, Florida has a few variations of the rat snake, and I would say it's one of the probably the most common snake in Florida. If you come here to look for them, or if you live here, you're going to see them. They're also known as chicken snakes. They like to raid chicken houses and take the eggs, people's yards that have chicken coops. But it's a snake that can get very large, up to 7 feet in some places. So let's take a look at the different rat snakes in Florida. My friend Daniel Parker is going to talk about some of the ones in his collection, which you can find in Florida. We left out the corn snake or red rat snake as it's its own species, and I may be doing a video on that in the future. So let's take a look at all the different rat snakes in Florida.
This is a gray rat snake from the extreme western panhandle of Florida. Some would call this a midland rat snake, Pantherophis spiloides. Others would call it just a rat snake, Pantherophis obsoletus. Or the old taxonomy was a gray rat snake, Elaphe obsoleta spiloides. Some of these can be really light in coloration. A lot of them from out there are really dark. This one's actually quite a light snake, but she's starting to go into shed, so she looks a little darker than usual. Now, there is a taxonomic opinion that the genetics of the rat snake changes when you cross the Apalachicola River. I don't know if I quite buy into that. If you look at the data and some other studies, they seem to conflict with that. But the rat snakes do look a little different as you head further west into the panhandle. This is a gray rat snake from the western Florida panhandle. This one's more typical of what some people would call the white oak phase gray rat. It's a more light, silvery, or almost white colored rat snake. You'll also hear local people up in the Florida panhandle and really all over the South call these oak snakes or white oak snakes, or sometimes even white oak runners. And other people just call them chicken snakes. So rat snakes have a lot of local colloquial names. This is a pretty nice light example. Some gray rat snakes have this pretty pinkish ventral coloration, kind of a mottled pattern all the way down the belly. These are two baby gray rat snakes, and they're from pretty close to each other in the Florida panhandle. The one on top, the lighter colored one, is from Franklin County, Florida. And the one on the bottom is from Liberty County, Florida. But you can see how different the color is on them. And that's just natural variation in gray rat snakes. The lighter one is one we might call a white oak phase gray rat snake. A lot of people up there just call all gray rat snakes oak snakes, or white oak snakes, or white oak runners. This is another gray rat snake from the Florida Peninsula. This one's actually from Suwannee County, Florida. But they look a little different than the ones further west. A lot of these have more H-shaped blotches. Now this one's kind of a medium-sized adult. They can get, at times, over even 7 feet long. This is not too far from where the gray rat snakes start integrating or hybridizing, depending on what taxonomy you follow with yellow rat snakes. This is the snake that was formerly known as Elaphe obsoleta williamsi, the Gulf hammock rat snake. Now these days they don't consider this a valid subspecies, but it is an intergrade between a yellow rat snake and a gray rat snake. So you get these mainly in Levy County, Florida, along the coast. Now there are intergrades of those two snakes that go all the way up to Georgia and even into South Carolina. But the ones on the coast look a little bit different on the coast of Florida. It's kind of more of a clean gray looking snake with saddles. They tend to have connected saddles all the way down, a combination of the blotches of the gray rat snake and the stripes of the yellow rat snake. Some of them have really dark, almost black blotches. You can see this one, it's a light reddish brown. This is a really pretty snake. He's close to 6 feet long. Gulf hammock rat snakes actually tend to be pretty docile snakes compared with a lot of the other wild rat snakes you'll see in Florida. For whatever reason, most of the time you can just pick a Gulf hammock rat snake up right off the road or off the ground in the wild and they won't bite you. This is a baby Gulf hammock rat snake from Levy County, Florida. According to the Burbrink study on rat snakes, this is an eastern rat snake. But we still like to call them Gulf hammock rat snakes because they are kind of distinctive looking. And one of the things that's distinctive about them is that they have blotches and stripes, which you might expect from an adult that had gray rat and yellow rat characteristics. But it's interesting that even on the babies, you have this pattern that has connected blotches, so you can kind of see some striping in there over the blotches. And they also have kind of a distinctive head pattern that you don't see in most Gulf hammock or most gray or yellow rat snakes. This is a really interesting rat snake from Citrus County, Florida. And this one kind of is an intergrade, but it has characteristics of those Gulf hammock rat snakes, but you can see it has more yellow rat snake influence. The typical Gulf hammock rat snakes have more of a gray background, the ones we see in Levy County. And this one from just a little bit to the south in Citrus County has more of a yellowish background, and it's still got those blotches going down the back. So it's probably more of a yellow rat, but kind of in between.
Go ahead.
This snake was originally described as Elaphe quadrivittata. Quadrivittata means 4 stripes. And then it was Elaphe obsoleta quadrivittata. And about 20 years ago, they made them part of the eastern rat snake complex, Pantherophis alleghaniensis. But more recently, it's been proposed that they be moved again to their own species, Pantherophis quadrivittatus. So who knows what the accepted taxonomy will be at the time you're watching this video. This is a pretty typical Central Florida type yellow rat snake. This one's actually from my neighborhood in Hernando County, Florida. You can see those bold dark stripes on kind of a straw yellow background. That's what we associate with the Central Florida rat snakes. Take a look at those pretty orange eyes. Those alert eyes are some of the things that attracted me to rat snakes when I was a kid. I just thought their eyes looked really cool. I wanted to show you a juvenile yellow rat snake. This one's about a year old. They go through a transitional period from the way they look as hatchlings, when they have a gray background and dark blotches, to when they're adults, where they have a yellow background and just the dark stripes. But you can see this one's kind of in between. It's starting to get that yellow color, but it's still got those baby blotches. A lot of people get these confused. I've heard some people say they were corn snake, rat snake hybrids. This is just a transitional phase from baby to adulthood. So we've got the baby yellow Gulf hammock and gray rat snakes here. Now the Gulf hammock rat snake in the middle, you can see it has that connected pattern, like a combination of blotches and stripes. It's interesting that where the yellow rat and gray rat ranges meet, you get a snake that looks a little bit different. You'll notice both the gray rat snake and the yellow rat snake here both have mainly blotched patterns, but this Levy County Gulf hammock rat snake definitely has a distinctive connected pattern. So this is an example of the rat snakes found in extreme southern Florida, the southern tip of Florida, and the upper Florida Keys. This was once called the Deckert's rat snake, or key rat snake, Elaphe obsoleta deckerti. Now we don't really consider that a valid form. They're really not very well differentiated from yellow rat snakes. But some of the characteristics of these were yellow to brownish yellow to even orange coloration and retained dorsal blotches. But in reality, that's kind of a variable trait that is not consistent. This one's starting to go into shed. Otherwise, you might be able to see his color and pattern a little better, but you can kind of see the hints of the blotches along the back. So I'm holding 3 different rat snakes. They're cold because they just came out of my hibernation snake building. But these are examples of the variation that you can see in South Florida, south of Lake Okeechobee. Now the Everglades rat snake was once described as the species Elaphe obsoleta rossalleni, and it was supposed to be an orange snake. In reality, we see orange and yellow snakes south of Lake Okeechobee in the Everglades region. And this kind of shows you the range of variation. You can see a yellow one, like this lightest yellow one. You can kind of see the more orange yellow, like the one in the middle, and then you can see the bright orange. All of these snakes tend to have lighter stripes than the ones in Central Florida. So even on the yellower ones, you tend to not have dark stripes. So we looked at that one from Central Florida and it had bold, dark stripes. You don't see that as much on South Florida rat snakes. Now there are different theories on Everglades rat snakes. I don't believe it's actually a valid subspecies or a valid form at all. I think that it's more of a color variation of yellow rat snake, but they can be very beautiful, as you see here. And you could see all of these in the exact same area. There's no area in South Florida that has all rat snakes that look bright orange, and I don't think that ever existed. If you read what Wright and Wright wrote about rat snakes in South Florida in the 40s, they received a consignment of rat snakes from Ross Allen, and they described some of them as having brownish yellow coloration, and these were all snakes that were supposedly from south of Lake Okeechobee. So even back then, they weren't seeing all orange snakes. A lot of Everglades rat snakes have pretty glowing orange eyes, and some of them have red tongues or red and black tongues. I would consider the orange coloration kind of the defining characteristic of this color phase. So here we're comparing a baby yellow rat snake and Everglades rat snake. You can see the yellow rat snake, which is the one kind of on top right now, has a little more yellowish color on its gray background, whereas the Everglades rat snake has kind of a pinkish hue. Now this yellow rat snake is from Glades County, and this Everglades rat snake is from Palm Beach County, which are not that far apart. They're actually both in the historical described range of Everglades rat snakes. But as I said, Everglades rat snake is really just kind of an orange color phase of yellow rat snake. So you can get them that look like an Everglades rat or a yellow rat snake in the same areas.
Well, that was a look at Ratsnakes of Florida. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I want to make a special thanks to Daniel for helping with the video. Without his knowledge and his collection of rat snakes, the video wouldn't have been possible. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.